Okay, here we go. 6.7 Cummins, crank no start. Initially, we had 4 different injector codes that would not clear, injector open codes. Did a bunch of testing, disconnecting the PCM, ohm testing the wires, checking them, making sure they're not shorted, disconnected the valve cover, took the valve cover off, disconnected all the injectors. Basically, we had the same 4 codes that set no matter what I did, and I did not find anything wrong with the wiring. So, recommended the PCM. No matter how long you've been doing this, no matter how many times you recommend PCMs, unless you've replaced a PCM for a specific problem, you always cross your fingers when it's time to start it. So here we go. This one here, put a PCM in it, had the programmer come out because it was quicker than us getting our programmer to do it. So here we go. Verification time here. We're going to double check, make sure we don't have any codes. I left the key on, so the battery was disconnected, or the battery was discharged. So let's check for codes. And we'll see what happens. Okay, so these are the same codes that were here yesterday after he programmed it. I left the EGR cooler bypass disconnected when he did the programming. I was in a hurry, he showed up early. I think those codes all set because the battery was discharged. All right, look at that, no codes. Before we had cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4 injector open, would not clear. They were there every single time. So hopefully this is going to start. I don't have it on the I don't have the charger on 12 volt start. Boom, there we go. So now we're running. Engine's running. We're going to come here. No codes. All right, so basically, in a situation like this, before you recommend a PCM, you want to make sure that you ohm out all your wires. In this case, they wanted to see the wiring from the PCM through the wiring, through the injector, and back to the PCM to be 0 to 1 ohm. So, testing for that's very, very important because they want to see a specific reading. So you have to test your leads. So in this case, what I did was I tested my leads, and my leads came up to have a problem. I had just used my regular multimeter, and I'm pretty sure this thing probably has an auto zero function. It's not a cheap multimeter. It's a nice snap-on. So anyways, I need to look and see how to zero the leads. But in this case, what I did was, you want to touch your leads together to figure out what your actual leads are reading. So my leads have about 0.1 to 0.2 ohms of resistance. So it looks like I need some new leads. However, we have another tool, and that is the Vantage Pro. And this thing does have an auto zero function. So you touch the leads together and it zeroes it out. So it takes into account that 0.1, 0.2 ohms. So this is what I used because the testing was so specific, being low. A lot of times you're testing injectors, you test a gas vehicle. Sometimes it's 12 ohms, 9 ohms. So 0.1 to 0.2 really isn't going to make a whole lot of difference when you're testing that. However, when you're recommending a PCM, you want to make sure that you're very sure, because this thing here is a $3,000 PCM. So at this time, we have fixed this vehicle, and now got to wait for him to approve it. He initially said he had an exhaust leak down here at the turbo. As you can see, the center of the turbo is all covered in soot. I don't know if you can see it, but basically the base gasket for the turbo is leaking at that back corner. So this corner over here on the driver's side is missing the nut. This bolt right here, this nut is loose. So now I gotta wait for the customer to see if he wants to approve me finding a new nut, torquing all the nuts down to see if the exhaust leak is gone. If it's not, then we're gonna have to pull the turbo and replace the gasket. But the PCM fixed this problem. Now we have no codes. We're all good to go. Again, also another important thing about testing vehicles is that when you're testing something, if you're recommending a computer or something like that, basically what you want to do is, let's say your battery's dead. Your battery is not fully charged. Okay, so initially this thing, when I would try to start it, it would start strong and then it would get slower and slower and slower because the batteries had partially discharged from trying to start it so many times. Well, during my testing, I had the battery charger hooked up. When you have a battery charger hooked up, you're getting incorrect voltages to the PCM. And you can get all kinds of codes that aren't actually true. So initially when I was testing this, I got a lot more codes than I had at the end. So what I did was I stopped testing, I fully charged the battery, I waited until the morning, and then I tested it, and then I had only the 4 injector codes that I was able to trace. Otherwise, I would have been all over the place testing this thing. It actually had 6 injector codes, then it had 5 injector codes, and it was a lot of it had to do with the battery being charging. So I charged the battery, everything is good. So now we're gonna charge up the batteries, get an inspection on this thing, and see if the customer wants to fix the turbo, the exhaust leak. Crazy thing about the exhaust leak is it did not have any boost codes, and it had a pretty bad leak. When I was testing, it almost blew my eardrum out listening for the leak. So anyways, thank you for tuning in to Nuts and Bolts. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and if you'd like to see my videos when they come out, hit the little bell, and it'll let you know when I make a new video. I'm trying to make as much content as possible, keep you guys going, and to help you guys out. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about this, if there's anything you'd like to see, anything you'd like to see in the future, any specific thing you want to see a review on some tools, let me know. Have a nice day.